how does an OG go about recruiting youngsters on the street?
Well, from my experience, my OGs, I would necessarily say was preying on us. Like I said, we were out, bad little kids, had uh, unadulterated access to the streets, and that was who was on the block. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, they didn't want you hanging out with them, but at the same time, if you was going to be out there, they wanted to steer you in the right direction, quote unquote.
What is it about gangbanging that sucks us in as little kids?
The full autonomy and authority to do what you want to do without having to answer to nobody.
Do you think the jewels, the cars, artificial power of the streets have anything to do with it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's the draw of it all. From when you sitting in your living room as a little kid, looking at TV, watching old gangster movies or whatever the case may be, and you look out your window, and you can add 2 plus 2 and see that it's the same thing. You instantly drawn to that.
How about the popularity from the females going through junior high school?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when I was coming up, we had our Jerry curls and things like that, and the gang members was kind of the bad guys, the macho. You know what I'm saying? Had that, or what they would call today, swag. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. With the fame come the girls. You know what I'm saying? And I was definitely trying to be as famous as possible.
Does a young homie have an alternative to gangbanging, or is he forced to gangbang?
A young homie is not forced to gangbang, but like I alluded to, if the family structure is not there, it's easy to succumb to that.
Was it ever a point where you felt like your childhood was over with?
Oh, absolutely. At the age of 14, I was allegedly involved in 3 separate incidents where the movies turned out to be reality for myself. And it's funny because I hadn't even had sex with a woman yet, or a girl. And I was out there gangbanging with grown men, doing grown men stuff, and picking up doing the same things that they were doing. And that involved everything from A to Z. So at 14 years old, I realized that my childhood was over.
When you was in prison, did the homies look out for you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. My homies, even in juvenile hall, even when I started going to juvenile hall, homies would look out for me. And I actually have a cousin that's actually from the set. You know what I'm saying? So it was always, I was always, I got lucky as far as on the gang banging thing. You understand what I'm saying? I never got put on. Like I said, I was a kid, so wasn't no grown man finna be whooping on no kids. So I kind of, just kind of got my way through, doing the things that they did. I didn't get nothing came to me easy, but a lot of the trials and tribulations that most gangbangers had to go through within their neighborhood, I didn't necessarily have to go through.
Did your moms come visit you?
Oh yeah, moms came to visit me. My aunt, my grandmother, and the majority of the times, maybe not 10 times out of 10, but 9.5 times out of 10, that's who's gonna be there for you. I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, high school sweethearts, things like that. But yeah, moms, grandmoms, aunt, most definitely every Saturday and Sunday I was getting visits.
What was your darkest moment while in prison?
My darkest moment while in prison was August 3rd, 2010. I had 6 weeks to go to being paroled, and my mother passed away that morning. That was my darkest moment.
Did you have to go to the hall?
During mom's death, or?
Yes, for mom's death.
No, actually I was in the process of getting transferred to Corcoran State Prison, and they called me to the office and told me the news, and which I kind of knew already, because mom's was sick. She was going through her stuff, and she was trying to hold on, and I was asking her to hold on, but at the same time it was her time, and I understood it.
Being a full-fledged gang member, how would you describe what a square is?
From a gangbanger's perspective, a square is one that's not affiliated. May know some people who are affiliated, who are actual gang members, but pretty much stay on the straight and narrow and take care of their business as if, you know, their parents had raised them and taught them and things like that.
When you call a person a square, what are you thinking of? Are you thinking like he's a buster or he's doing the right thing?
Well, there's some squares that whoop your motherfucking ass. You don't understand what I'm saying? So a square is one that's just not in the same lifestyle as you are. You know what I'm saying? Actually now, especially at this point in my life, being a square is some hip shit to be. It's, you know what I'm saying? Man, I wish I would have grew up a square. You know.
It's my understanding at one point you was in jail fighting a murder.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The last time I got arrested or was in any kind of trouble was 2005. It was gang related. I was still gang banging. It was what it was. Still had that mentality, and it was a bad situation. It was a mountain of evidence against me. But like I said previously in conversations we had, I got arrested. Didn't make no statements. Nothing to do. Made sure my name was spelled right on the paperwork. Got sent to the back, and fought that case for like 2.5 years. Wound up going to trial. Got a hung jury. And right before I went to go pick the second jury for the second trial, the DA offered me a plea bargain on a manslaughter.
Are you sitting in those stoops, or you sitting in your cell, or you in the court tape getting ready to go in front of that jury? Have you ever thought about what your life would have been like had you been a square?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's crazy that you asked that question because while I was fighting my case or fighting that last case, I hadn't had any kids or anything. And I was like, damn, I'm really about to get a life sentence. And I don't have no children, no legacy, anything other than I was on the streets being a knucklehead, and my reputation in my neighborhood is what it is. And there's definitely, come to find out, and as I've always heard from quote unquote squares, there's definitely more to life than that.
When did you first know you grew up and was a man, as far as being able to take care of yourself and not needing a pistol in your hand?
I believe the first time I went to prison. Well, actually, right before that, I was in YA and got kicked out of YA for starting a riot. I had an M number, and I went to prison, and I wound up going to Soledad, and it was grown men. It wasn't nothing but men, and walking out to that yard, seeing them fences and barbed wires and all that stuff, and them big old dudes with them big old blue state prison jackets on. It was at that point in time, it was time to be a man. My childhood was over with.